How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battle. Today we're in battle versus Frosti in the OU tier from the Discord server. Go ahead and join the Discord server. It's the best place to go for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battles right now. There is a link in the description down below. And looking at the team, we've got our work cut out for us because this is a very threatening team. Now, they do have a bit of a fighting weakness outside of Dragapult and Gliscor and Thundurus, so they haven't got really much of a fighting weakness, but, you know, I'm just kind of trying to analyze here. So, I think they lead off with the Dragapult or the Skarmory. So I'm half tempted to lead with Ampharos. But they might lead with Gliscor as well to get the Stealth Rocks up or the Spikes. I think I'll lead off with Meowscarada because it's a good U-turner. And I like leading with Meowscarada. It's a good lead Pokemon. Especially when you're unsure what the opponent's going to lead off with. So I may as well just do that. And the battle begins. Good luck, have fun, Frosti. So they're going to lead off with Dragapult as we let off with Meowscarada. Now, type advantage-wise, we're obviously in a good position here. We can go for a knockoff and take this thing out. But I know full damn well they're either going to go for a U-turn or a Will-O-Wisp right now. So I'm actually going to go into Ampharos. Ampharos doesn't care about being burned. And they may also... we could be Scarfed. So they're going to hard switch. And they go into Skarmory. So that's actually worked out really nicely for us. I did in my head I had it in my head that they may go into Skarmory as well, so that's also one of the reasons I was going to bring Ampharos in. I figured they would U-turn though, but whatever. I was hoping for the U-turn static, and also because Ampharos doesn't care about burn. Now, they do have a ground type on their team, being Gliscor, but we should be alright. I think they're going to get up the Stealth Rocks here, so I'm going to go for a Volt Switch. They're going to withdraw the Skarmory, probably into the Thundurus or the Gliscor. Gliscor comes in, makes a lot of sense. So we know our opponent's like, just from these first few turns, we know our opponent's going to be a sensible player. They're going to switch out. It's good to analyze what they're going to do. You know, try and deduct what kind of player they are. And it looks like they are going to be making the right plays, switching into Pokemon that they should switch into, etc. So I'm going to go into Swampert now. Swampert can definitely sponge an Earthquake, but they more than likely go for a Spikes here. So they're going to withdraw Gliscor. They're going to make a prediction of their own. And they're going to go into what? Skarmory. Interesting. So Skarmory's going to come in once again as we withdraw our Ampharos going into Swampert. Now, the reason I went into Swampert is because I was half expecting them to go for a Spikes, and then I can go for an Avalanche or something like that, or a Flip Turn. So I'm going to go for a Flip Turn now just to get on out of there. They do go for the Spikes, and they do outspeed my Swampert, interestingly enough. So they get that one layer of Spikes up, which is always great. Go for a Flip Turn, break that Sturdy. Does some decent damage as well. We do get hit by the Rocky Helmet, which is unfortunate, but it's fine. And then we're going to swap our Swampert out of there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into our Ampharos. And the reason I'm doing this is purely, because I have a feeling they're not going to switch out now. I feel like they're going to expect us to overpredict. So I'm going to go for the safe Volt Switch. I feel like they go for a Spikes here. Oh no, they do withdraw the Skarmory. I guess there is no reason not to. And they're going to go into Roaring Moon. Okay, so fair enough. So they was playing it safe there by going into the Roaring Moon. It's an electric resist, but we get to keep our momentum going. So we get a bit of chip damage off on the Roaring Moon. I figured they wouldn't go into Gliscor because they probably thought it was too obvious that Gliscor was coming in. So they might have predicted a Tera Ice or something along those lines. No, they wouldn't have gone Tera Ice because Roaring Moon's a thing. That's weak to Ice. So what can we do here? Let's go into Sylveon. Sylveon's a good Pokemon to switch in because Hyper Voice does a lot of damage to their entire team. Even Skarmory's not going to appreciate it too much. And I'm pretty sure Roaring Moon doesn't usually run things that tackle Fairy types. If anything, they're normally like Terra Flying or something along those lines with Dragon Dance. So I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice here. I don't see any reason not to. They do withdraw the Roaring Moon because it's a bad matchup. And they're probably going to go Skarmory, right? Gliscor is an interesting one. So Gliscor comes in. We go for a Hyper Voice. It's going to do a bit of chip damage. A little bit of chip damage here and there. Now, since they have Spikes on their Skarmory, we can assume that they don't have Spikes on their Gliscor, which means they're likely going to go for a Toxic here or something along those lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out and I'm going to go into my Corviknight. Corviknight can defog away any hazards that they've got set up. They don't have a Goldengo on their team, so we can definitely defog here. So we'll go into Corviknight like so. There we go. Nice and shiny. Gotta love it. And then they go for a Toxic, which isn't going to work because we are a Steel type. So they're going to get their Poison Heal. They're pretty much going to be back to full health in a minute. I'm going to go for a Defog here just to get rid of those Spikes because they are a pain in the bum. They do withdraw their Gliscor. What are they going to go into? Could it be King Gambit with Defiant? Dragapult comes in. So Dragapult's an interesting one because that can do a lot of things. It could definitely hit us with a Choice Specs Flamethrower, which will do a lot of damage. Alternatively, it could do other things as well. So we get rid of the spikes. Now, we don't know what he's going to do with this thing. So I'm going to go into Swampert here. And the reason I'm going to Swampert is because A, I'm pretty sure the special if they brought a Dragapult in against the Corviknight. And B, we can take any special hit because we're a Assault Vest. So if they go for a Draco, I'm confident we can live that. They're going to Terra, though. What type are they going to Terra into from our Corviknight? Are they going to be Ghost with and they go for a Shadow Ball? Yeah, Ghost. So they've used the Terra up, so it's good to note they haven't Terra'd. So we don't have to worry about any Terra shenanigans later, which is always nice. And they're going to go for a Shadow Ball. Let's see how well Assault Vest Swampert takes this. Because if they're Choice Specs, it's going to sting. It's still going to sting. And it is, unfortunately, a 2-hit KO from there. But we do have options here. So I could go into Meowscarada, who can definitely take a Shadow Ball. But I don't want to risk it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to Flip Turn here. They do go for another Shadow Ball. There is a chance we live this, I believe. But it's a small chance. A really small chance. So let's see if we do. We don't. So Swampert does go down. I wasn't staying in because there was a small chance to live. I was just staying in because I don't really have a switch into this. Meowscarada can, like, do some stuff here. We can go for a knockoff, etc. But that's as far as it goes. To be fair, looking at their team, they're really weak to ice outside of King Gambit. Skarmory's neutral to it, but everything else is weak to it, except from Dragapult because it's Terra'd. But if they're going to go for a Shadow Ball here, we should definitely go into Meowscarada. Meowscarada can go for a knockoff here. Knock off something's item, which is always nice. So let's go for it. Let's go for the knockoff. I don't think they'll switch up moves because I'm fairly certain they're Choice Specs, as they do withdraw Dragapult right now. What are they going to go into? Gliscor? Skarmory. So Skarmory comes in. That's fine. Skarmory ain't going to appreciate this knockoff when I knock off its Rocky Helmet, especially given that Flip Turn damage that we got earlier, as that is doing a lot of damage. There we go. So that's some nice damage on Skarmory. So we either see a Roost here or a Spikes, one of the two. So what I'm going to do is I am going to stay in, and no, not going to stay in. I'm going to go straight to Ampharos here. So we'll bring Ampharos in, like so. There we go. Amphi comes on in. And I think it's about time I whip out that Power Herb Meteor Beam. There's the Roost. That's going to bring them up to nearly full. So they still have their Sturdy out of action. Let's go for that Meteor Beam, because if they're going to go into Thundurus or Roaring Moon or Gliscor here, they go for a Body Press, which is going to do minimal damage. We go for a Meteor Beam now. And that's going to boost our special attack, which is nice. Like so. And then we're going to get that Power Herb. And hopefully we don't miss. We don't miss, which is nice. This should do a decent bit of chip damage. Nearly gets the KO, which is really good. Now I go for a Dragon Pulse just in case they switch out. They go for another Body Press to get the damage. Fair enough. We go for a Dragon Pulse. That's going to easily KO the Skarmory. So we got one of their Pokemon out of the action. They got one of ours out. So it's looking like a decent game so far. You know, I haven't played perfectly so far, but I'm trying, all right? I'm really trying. All right, in comes Dragapult. There is little to no reason for me to do anything here other than switch out. I think I go Corviknight here. They may predict the Corviknight. So I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt because it's a bit more powerful than Dragon Pulse. Just in case they Flamethrower and it doesn't KO, but they don't. They go straight for the Shadow Ball. There was no reason for them not to go to Shadow Ball, but I don't really have a good switch in, so Ampharos is going to have to be it. As down goes the Ampharos, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. It got the KO on the Skarmory. That's all that's important to me. Now that Skarmory's out of the way, though, they don't have the best switch-ins to certain Pokemon on my team. So I think my best bet is going to be the Quiver Dancing Volcarona, I think, because we haven't Terra'd yet, so we can still do some stuff. So I'm actually going to go into good old Meowscarada here, and the reason being is that I feel like if we go for a triple axle here, we're actually going to be able to catch something off guard, like Roaring Moon or Thunder, because they're only switching really is it better for us to go to a U-turn? I think it's better for us to go for a U-turn here, because they're probably going to go King Gambit, to be honest with you. They go for a Shadow Ball. They stay in against the Meowscarada. And this is probably going to two-shot us, which means we can't use Meowscarada later. That's really annoying that they stayed in. Really ballsy on their part, because they could have lost their Dragapult here. They really could have lost the Dragapult. That still does a lot of damage, which is nice. So what do we do now against this Dragapult? That is the real question. What do I need Sylveon for? Probably the Roaring Moon. What do I need Corviknight for? Literally the Gliscor, the King Gambit, the Roaring Moon. What do I need Volcarona for? That's what I thought. So let's go Volcarona. Let's go Volcarona. Volcarona has the sweeping potential here because they can't Tera Water their Gliscor. So I think the best thing for me to do is go for Equivocance here. They stay in and go for the Shadow Ball. It's going to do a lot of damage. That's for sure. Definitely doing a lot of damage. Doesn't get the KO though, which is nice. We go for Equivocance, which is going to boost our special attack to sky high levels. And they basically have to let the Dragapult go down here to a Fiery Dance. We outspeed them because we are max speed, timid. Let's go for the Fiery Dance. It should KO the Dragapult. There we go. And all they have to do is bring in the King Gambit. But that's not such a bad thing. So Dragapult goes down. Dragapult goes down. Let's see if Volcarona can pull this back. Because I don't think it can. Thundurus comes in. So Thundurus is an interesting one. So what we're going to do here is they're probably going to go for an electric type move. So I am going to Tera. And I'm going to go for a Fiery Dance once again. Because not a lot of people expect Tera Ground on the Volcarona. So I'm going to go for it. And hopefully if they're Focus Sash, which I believe they might be by the way they've brought it in. Or Scarfed. One of the two. We're going to be immune to an electric type attack right now, which would be nice. They do go for a Thunderbolt, which is great. So we have thrown them off a bit. That also means they are Choice Scarf. Fiery Dance will KO here. What? Fair enough. You know what? It doesn't matter. Let's go for another Fiery Dance. There's nothing they can do here except for withdraw the Thundurus like they have done. And they basically have to sack off something here. They go into Roaring Moon. So Roaring Moon is obviously going to go down to a Bug Buzz after this. So we go for a Fiery Dance. That should boost our special attack, hopefully. We do get the special attack boost, which is nice. Volcarona putting a lot of pressure on the team. So let's go for a Bug Buzz. We do outspeed. There we go. Bug Buzz comes through. And now they can freely go into whatever they want, really. So I think they are going to go into Thundurus. Because Thundurus outspeeds us. It's pretty much the only thing that outspeeds us. Or they could go into King Gambit. They don't want to go into King Gambit. They're saving it till later, which makes a lot of sense. So if we assume they're going to go for another move, like a Terra Blast or a... I don't know what else it could really do here. Maybe Grass Knot. We can safely go into Corviknight. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to preserve my Volcarona for later. Use it as a switch-in for something. So we'll go into this. And we can use it for the Gliscor, for example. We can outspeed and get some damage off on it. So they do go for a U-turn. But Rocky Helmet is a thing. And that's going to take out the Thundurus, which is fantastic. So we have got a Gliscor, which is walled by Corviknight. And a King Gambit, which is also pretty much walled by Corviknight. So that's great news for us. In comes the King Gambit because they know if anything's got a good chance of taking out this Corviknight, it's going to be that thing with its Supreme Overlord and its Kowtow Cleaves. We could have Body Press for all they know, but we don't. So I'm going to go for a U-turn. They do withdraw the King Gambit, expecting us to preserve or just scouting for the Body Press. And they're going to go into the Gliscor, which is really nice for us because we can go for a U-turn now. We can go for a U-turn and then we can just bring in Volcarona. And Volcarona can outspeed this thing, no problems. And go for a Fiery Dance to get some more damage off. That's pretty much what I'm going for. Sylveon is still around. So I'm definitely going to bring Volcarona in. And the good thing about Volcarona is if they attack us with the King Gambit later, which they're not going to because they're going to take us out right now with Gliscor. But we go for a Fiery Dance just to get as much damage off on the Gliscor as possible. Like so. There we go. Nice bit of damage. They go for an EQ. That's obviously going to take us out, but it's fine. Got a crit. Didn't matter. Definitely KO'd us still. Volcarona is going to go down, but we got some damage off on the Gliscor, which is important. So. What can Gliscor do to Corviknight? That's a good question. Not a lot. What can... Yeah. No, so, okay, yeah, exactly, yeah. So. Let's go for a triple axle right now, expecting them to stay in. They go for a protect because they know we're banded. They're going to see us lock ourselves into triple axle. Like so. And we turn into an ice type, like so. Boom. Doesn't do anything. So the obvious thing for them to do here is to switch out into the King Gambit. Right? Expecting us to go for a triple axle. But at the same time, we could just go into Corviknight expecting the King Gambit. It's definitely a thing we could do. Triple axle will still do some decent damage against the King Gambit. I may as well just go for it still. They do withdraw the Gliscor. That's fine. Triple Axle will still do a bit of chip damage against the King Gambit, which is important. It's definitely important. So let's go for that. Let's go for the triple axle real quick. And basically, with us going for triple axle, hopefully it hits 3 times. There we go. With us going for triple axle, if they go for a Swords Dance, they're risking a lot. Because there's only so much health this King Gambit's going to have. So I don't think they go for a Sucker Punch here. I think they go for a Swords Dance. I think they need an opportunity to go for a Swords Dance. So I'm going to go for another triple axle here. There we go. See, they probably have gone for a Swords Dance here. But if we can get them down to 50% like we have done with triple axle, then we're going to be golden. There's the Swords Dance. So they can only Swords Dance one more time before they get KO by triple axle. They are leftovers, which is good to note. And they can't Terra, which is also good to note. King Gambit is a threat. Let's go for a triple axle once more. I feel like they expect the Corviknight switch now, so they go for a Kowtow Cleave. Yep, thought so. As we get another triple axle off, but unfortunately, it only hits 1 time, which is great. They go for another Swords Dance. Now, they're probably thinking, we definitely stay in here attacking them. They're probably thinking that. Or they're going to overpredict. I think we can go for another triple axle. I think we can go for another triple axle here, and hopefully we can hit all 3 times. But this King Gambit is dangerous. It's already dangerous without the +6. So I have to get as much damage off on it as possible so my Rocky Helmet can do some work. So we go for another triple axle. They do not go for a Sucker Punch. We're going to get all 3 connections, which is great. Takes them right down like that. And then they go for a final Swords Dance. Now they're at +6, which, you know, normally would be very scary. But we have to think. We've still got Corviknight in the back. And Corviknight has got the Rocky Helmet. So let's go for another triple axle. They go for a Sucker Punch. Fine by me. Absolutely fine by me. We can still do this. It's going to be tough to take down that Gliscor about Meowscarada, but we can still do it. I probably should have switched out there. Because it was obvious they were going for a Sucker Punch. I should have just switched out. But, oh well. But here we are. Sylveon, no. We keep that around. Corviknight is what we're going to go into. And I'm hoping Sylveon can be the one to take out that Gliscor. I'm hoping. With a Hyper Voice spam. So let's go for a Brave Bird just to get some chip damage off on it. As well as the Rocky Helmet chip. So hopefully this works out for us. They go for a Sucker Punch. We should not live. But Rocky Helmet chip is a thing. And now Sylveon should in theory outspeed this thing. And be able to KO with a Hyper Voice. We should be able to live a Sucker Punch from it as well. Should. Big should. Because we're physically defensive and we resist. So let's bank on Sylveon right now. Let's see if Ribbons can do it. I don't think... I feel like this King Gambit's going to have some speed investment and it'll outspeed us. But can't be sure on that. So I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice anyway. They do outspeed us and go for an Iron Head, which is going to take us out. So that's going to be the game. So we lost to King Gambit. But, you know, who else... Raise your hand if you've ever lost to a King Gambit like this. Granted, I could have played it better. When they Sucker Punched my Meowscarada, I should have switched into Corviknight then and saved Meowscarada for later, just in case we managed to beat it and got to the Gliscor. But that didn't matter in the end because the King Gambit outsped us. Whatever. King Gambit wins once again. King Gambit is awesome. GG. GG, Frosti. But anyway, here is the team. Try it out if you want to. Use the code at the top right corner of the screen. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, of course, leave a like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. And with that being said, I'll see you all in a bit.